Chosen one, this message didn't find you by accident. God led you here for a reason. You've been fighting battles for years. You've been pushing, pressing, and praying with all your strength. You've endured delays, disappointments, and moments of deep exhaustion, wondering when things would finally shift. But today, this message comes as divine confirmation. Your season of striving is over. God is calling you into his rest, not the kind that comes from quitting, but the kind that comes from trusting. The storm is subsiding, and now it's time for you to enter the calm. Heaven has already released what you've been praying for. Now you must position yourself to receive it. Before we dive deep, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, because this message isn't just content. It's a divine confirmation for the chosen ones. And a heartfelt thank you to everyone who's been supporting through Super Thanks. God bless you richly. Your support, your presence, and your faithfulness do not go unnoticed. To all of you who continually watch, listen, and align, I'm truly grateful. If your spirit feels this frequency, type 77 in the comments right now. That number isn't random. It's a sacred signal to the Most High that you're ready to enter your promised rest, to receive what's already yours, and to finally experience the peace that's been waiting for you all along. Not everyone will make it to the end of this message. Only the truly chosen. Those who do will understand why the striving had to end and why the stillness was part of the preparation. You're about to see what happens when God tells you, "Be still and know that I am God." This isn't something you hear once and move on from. This is a living word, a divine invitation to stop fighting and start flowing with grace. Watch this message again whenever your spirit feels weary, because each time another layer of peace, clarity, and divine assurance will rise within you. Let's begin. Chapter 1, The Burden of Striving, Chosen One. For so long, you've carried weight that was never yours to carry. You've been fighting battles that weren't your assignment, trying to prove your worth to people who were never meant to validate you. You've been running on empty, giving your all, and wondering why you still feel stuck. You've done everything you could, worked harder, prayed longer, sacrificed more, and yet it felt like the breakthrough was still far away. You've been striving, not because you're lazy or disobedient, but because deep down you feared that if you stopped, everything would fall apart. But hear this with your spirit. God never designed you to live in constant striving. Striving comes from a place of fear. Surrender comes from a place of trust. You've been trying to do God's job, thinking that his promises depended on your performance. But he's reminding you now, it's not by might nor by power, but by my spirit. You are not meant to force what is divine. When you strive, you step out of flow. But when you surrender, you align with heaven's rhythm. Many of your frustrations were never punishment. They were interruptions from God. He allowed the plans you made to fail, the doors you forced to stay shut, and the people you depended on to walk away, not to hurt you, but to protect you from walking in your own will instead of his. He's been teaching you something sacred, that his pace is better than your pressure, that your striving will get you noticed, but his timing will get you established. Chosen one, exhaustion was never your destiny. It was a signal, a divine alert that you've been doing too much in your own strength and not enough in his rest. God is calling you back to stillness, to learn that rest is not weakness, it's warfare. The enemy wants you burned out because a tired soul can't hear clearly, but a rested spirit, it moves mountains with a whisper. So right now, release the pressure. Lay it all down. The timelines, the expectations, the need to prove yourself. Let go of the constant push and let God pull you into purpose. The burden you've been dragging wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to develop you. You were never called to carry everything, only to carry his presence. And when you finally stop striving, you'll discover something beautiful. That what you were chasing was already chasing you. That while you were working to open doors, God was building the house. The moment you rest, grace begins to run on your behalf. The moment you let go, heaven takes over. Chosen one, it's time to stop carrying what's crushing you and let the Creator carry you instead. Because the very moment you surrender the burden, you'll feel the weight of his glory instead of the weight of the world. On chapter 2, the difference between striving and trusting. Chosen one, there's a sacred difference between diligence and striving, a difference that determines whether you move with peace or with pressure. Diligence is when your effort is led by faith. Striving is when your effort is driven by fear. Diligence says, I'm working because I trust God's process. Striving says, I'm working because I'm afraid if I stop, nothing will happen. And that fear is exactly what the enemy wants you to live in, a constant state of anxiety. Performance and exhaustion. Diligence carries peace even in the midst of work. It allows you to move steadily, knowing the outcome is already secure. You can show up, give your best, and still rest, because your heart knows God is in control. Striving, on the other hand, is restless. It's that inner panic that whispers, you're falling behind. You're not doing enough. You have to fix this yourself. And that's why so many chosen ones end up feeling spiritually tired, because you've been trying to carry a plan that only heaven can execute. But now God is speaking to your spirit clearly. Stop striving and start trusting. He's saying, let me lead you. Let me handle what you can't see. You don't need to force what's already been written. You don't need to manipulate outcomes to make your dream come true. The doors meant for you will not require begging, performing, or overwork. They'll open naturally, peacefully, and perfectly in God's timing. The same goes for relationships and opportunities. The people meant for you won't leave you confused or drained. They'll align easily. They'll bring confirmation, not chaos. Divine things do not demand desperation. They flow. That's the beauty of trusting. It's not about doing less. It's about doing only what God leads you to do. When you walk in trust, your steps are ordered, not forced. When you strive, you act from a place of control. But when you trust, you move from surrender. That's where power is, because trusting is not passive. It's powerful obedience. It's choosing to believe that God is working behind the curtain even when the stage looks empty. It's choosing peace when everything in you wants to panic. Chosen one. Striving comes from a lack of rest, but trusting begins when you sit still long enough to remember who's really in charge. You are not the source. You're the vessel. You're not the provider. You're the carrier of provision. When you finally release the illusion of control, you make space for grace to work miracles. You'll start to notice how things begin to flow with ease. Conversations, connections, resources, and breakthroughs that used to take so much effort will start aligning naturally. Why? Because you finally got out of the way and let God move. Trusting Him is the highest form of worship. It says, Lord, I believe you even when I can't see you. So from this moment forward, release the pressure. You don't need to hustle to prove you're chosen. You already are. You don't need to push to make something happen. God's timing will bring it to pass. Chapter 3. God is shifting you from labor to grace. Chosen one. The season you're stepping into is not about striving. It's about flowing. It's not about how hard you can work, but how deeply you can trust. For years you've labored. You've pushed through pain, sacrificed comfort, and kept your faith alive when everything around you was falling apart. You've been planting seeds in tears, praying in silence, and showing up even when it felt like no one saw your effort. But hear this clearly. God saw every moment, every unseen sacrifice, every sleepless night, every yes you gave when it would have been easier to quit. All of it was counted. Now heaven is declaring a shift from labor to grace. The season of survival is over, and the season of supernatural supply has begun. You've carried the weight for so long, but God is saying you have to put it down. I'm taking it from here. What once required sweat and struggle will now be sustained by spirit. The doors you once knocked on with desperation will begin to swing open with divine ease. The blessings you once chased will begin to recognize your frequency and locate you. This is not because of your perfection, but because of His promise. Grace is God's way of saying, I'm rewarding your endurance, not your exhaustion. You don't earn grace. You receive it. You can't force it. You flow with it. Grace is divine rhythm. It's when heaven and earth move in harmony to manifest what's already written in your destiny. When God breathes on your life, everything begins to align. Suddenly, what once took months happens in moments. What used to drain you begins to energize you. What was once difficult begins to unfold effortlessly. It's not that life gets easier, it's that you get lighter. Because grace carries what effort could not. Understand this, grace doesn't mean laziness. It means divine synchronization. It's when your steps are so ordered by God that even your delays are strategic. You'll start realizing that what felt like a detour was actually direction. The no's you received were not rejection. They were redirection into the right rooms, the right people, the right timing. Chosen one, this new chapter requires a different posture. not of striving, but of surrender. You can no longer depend on your strength to make things happen. Your human effort brought you this far, but grace is what will carry you the rest of the way. You've outgrown the season of pushing. You're stepping into the season of being carried. There's a divine wind about to blow over your life, one that will propel you further in days than your labor could in years. Favor is about to speak for you in rooms your name has never entered. People you've never met will begin to recommend you, mention you, and bless you without you asking. That's what grace does. It goes before you and works behind the scenes while you rest in obedience. So don't fight this flow. Don't try to make things happen the old way. That chapter is closed. God is saying, you've proven your faith through your labor. Now let me prove my faithfulness through grace. Chosen one, step back and watch what happens when heaven begins to move on your behalf. You won't have to push the door open anymore. It'll open itself because the King has decreed your arrival. Chapter 4. Your rest is a weapon. Chosen one, hear this truth deep in your spirit. Rest is not retreat. It's resistance. It is not a sign of weakness. It's a mark of wisdom. The world teaches you to grind until you break, to chase until you collapse, to measure your worth by your productivity. But heaven operates differently. In the kingdom, rest is strategy. When you rest in God, you are declaring to every force of darkness, my trust is not in my effort. My trust is in my Creator. Rest is warfare. It's how you fight battles without losing your peace. It's how you say to the enemy, you can't shake me with chaos because my soul is anchored. When you choose to rest, you break the pattern of panic the enemy tries to keep you in. He expects you to stay anxious, restless, and drained. But rest throws off his plan completely, because your rest says the battle is not mine. It's the Lord's. Understand this. When you rest, you are not being passive. You are positioning yourself in divine alignment. You're saying, God, I've done my part. Now I trust you to do yours. That is one of the most powerful declarations of faith you can ever make. Faith doesn't always look like movement. Sometimes it looks like stillness. Sometimes it's the quiet soul that wins the loudest war. Your rest confuses the enemy. He wanted to see you break under pressure, to quit in exhaustion, to doubt your purpose because of fatigue. But when you choose peace over panic, you rob him of his power. Every time you rest in the middle of a storm, the kingdom of darkness trembles because it means you truly understand who fights for you. When you rest, heaven begins to move. Angels go to work. Divine timing activates. Doors open while you sleep. God begins to handle things that your worry couldn't. Rest is not inaction. It's divine delegation. You're giving God permission to intervene, to reorder, to restore while you rest. Heaven is rearranging things in your favor. Chosen one, this is why the enemy hates your rest. He knows that if he can't steal your peace, he can't control your path. He'll try to keep you overthinking, overworking, overanalyzing, because he knows a weary soul is easier to manipulate. But when you rest in faith, you step out of his reach. You're no longer driven by fear. You're guided by trust. Rest is not the absence of movement. It's the presence of confidence. It's knowing that even when you pause, God doesn't. He's still working behind the scenes. He's still arranging divine connections. He's still turning every delay into direction. Your rest is the proof that you've stopped fighting for control and started walking in surrender. And that's when miracles happen. That's when breakthroughs manifest. Not when you're panicked, but when you're peaceful. Not when you're striving, but when you're still. Because rest opens the door for divine revelation. It sharpens your discernment. It renews your strength. So, chosen one, this season, protect your peace like a sword. Guard your rest like treasure. Don't feel guilty for slowing down. Don't apologize for stepping away to recharge. You're not falling behind. You're being fortified. God doesn't need your exhaustion to bless you. He needs your surrender. Chapter 5, The Power of Divine Timing. Chosen one of the hardest lessons in this journey is learning to wait, not in frustration, but in faith. You see, impatience is one of the enemy's favorite traps. He knows that if he can get you to move too early, he can make you miss what's meant for you. That's why so many people rush into relationships, careers, or decisions that look right, but aren't aligned with divine timing. They confuse movement with progress. But God's timing is not like man's timing. His pace may feel slow, but his timing is always precise. When God says wait, he's not denying you. He's developing you. The waiting room is not punishment. It's preparation. It's the place where your character matures, your discernment sharpens, and your faith strengthens. You're not just waiting for a blessing. The blessing is waiting for the version of you that can sustain it. Because premature promotion can become destruction if the foundation isn't ready. If God gave you everything you prayed for when you asked for it, you might have misused it, misunderstood it, or mishandled it. But now, after everything you've endured, the disappointments, the delays, the lessons, you're becoming the person who can handle what's coming. You've learned how to depend on God instead of people, how to discern peace from pressure, and how to move with purpose, not panic. Divine timing is not delay, it's protection. It's God saying, I know the plans I have for you, and I refuse to let you settle for less than what I promised. Every time something didn't work out, it wasn't rejection, it was redirection. Every not yet was heaven's way of saying, I'm still preparing the stage. Because when God blesses you, He doesn't just hand you an opportunity. He aligns circumstances, hearts, and moments perfectly so everything unfolds effortlessly. Chosen one, you must understand this. God doesn't just prepare blessings for you. He prepares you for blessings. The same God who created time controls it. Nothing in your life is off schedule. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment was calculated for your elevation. You didn't miss your moment. Your moment is maturing. The people who doubted you will soon see why God made you wait. The same doors that stayed shut before will open at the exact time they're supposed to. Not a second earlier, not a second later. Divine timing doesn't rush, and it doesn't hesitate. When the appointed time comes, everything will move in divine sequence. The favor, the opportunity, the relationship, the breakthrough, it will all arrive at once, effortlessly. And when that moment comes, you won't have to chase it, force it, or beg for it. It will find you because it was written for you. The thing about divine timing is that what's yours can't be stolen, delayed, or destroyed. It can only be prepared. So, chosen one, rest in this truth. You are not behind. You're right on schedule. Every unanswered prayer, every silent season, every lonely night, it's all part of the divine clockwork. Heaven is aligning things you can't yet see. God is not late. He's just setting the stage for something that will last. When your time comes, no enemy can block it, no man can stop it, and no force can reverse it. Chapter 6. Entering the flow of receiving. Chosen one, this next season of your life will require a new posture, not of striving, but of receiving. You fought long enough. You've prayed through pain, pressed through storms, and kept going when everything in you wanted to give up. You've mastered survival, but now God is teaching you something far more powerful: how to rest and receive. It sounds simple, but it's one of the hardest transitions for those who have suffered. Because when you've spent years fighting for every blessing, every breakthrough, every little glimpse of peace, your mind becomes wired to expect resistance. You start to believe that if you're not struggling, you're not progressing. But that's not how divine flow works. Striving was for your training. Receiving is for your reigning. This next chapter of your journey is not about earning what's already been written for you. It's about aligning your spirit with what heaven has already released. You don't have to hustle for what's already yours. You don't have to prove to God that you're worthy. He already called you chosen before you ever performed a single thing. Your job now is not to force, but to flow. You've entered a divine current, a spiritual rhythm where things begin to align effortlessly. The opportunities that once seemed distant will now draw near. The resources that were once hard to find will begin to flow in. People who are part of your destiny will start showing up at the right time. This isn't luck, it's divine orchestration. It's what happens when you finally stop resisting the flow and start trusting the source. But to receive, chosen one, you must let go of the fear that you'll lose it, of the belief that you have to control everything, of the walls you've built to protect yourself. The very guard you built for survival can become the gate that blocks your blessings. God is asking you to soften your spirit again. Open your heart. Open your hands. Don't resist His goodness because you're used to pain. Don't question His favor because you've known struggle. What's coming now is not punishment, it's payback. Receiving is not weakness, it's worship. When you allow yourself to receive what God sends, you're saying, Lord, I trust that you are my provider. I trust that you love me enough to bless me without me having to beg for it. You are no longer earning grace. You are flowing in it. The shift from striving to receiving is the shift from fear to faith. And make no mistake, this flow will look different. You'll begin to notice divine ease where there was once exhaustion. You'll begin to sense favor in places where you used to face resistance. The same things that once drained you will now come naturally. This isn't because life got easier. First, because you got aligned. When your spirit stops wrestling and starts resting, the universe aligns with God's plan for your life. So, chosen one, breathe. Relax into the rhythm of divine flow. You've already proven your faith through endurance. Now it's time to witness what that faith produces. Chapter 7. Walking in Peace and Promise. Finally, chosen one, it's time to walk in peace. The same God who carried you through every dark valley, every sleepless night, every storm that threatened to drown you, He's now guiding you into a place of divine rest. The season of relentless striving, endless proving, and silent suffering has served its purpose. It was never meant to last forever. It was meant to build you. Now the same wilderness that once broke you is becoming the ground where you will bloom. You've been through years of spiritual labor, pushing, praying, pressing, sometimes wondering if the promise would ever come. You felt unseen, unheard, and overlooked. But heaven never forgot you. Every tear was recorded. Every prayer was stored. Every battle was counted. And now God is saying, peace, be still. Not just to the storms around you, but to the ones within you. The striving is over. The storm is over. The warfare is over. This new chapter isn't about survival. It's about stability. You're entering a season where peace won't feel temporary. It will become your foundation. You'll wake up and realize that the anxiety that once controlled your mind no longer has power over you. The fear that once paralyzed you has lost its grip. The pain that once defined you has turned into wisdom. You've crossed over from chaos to clarity, from pressure to promise, from battle to blessing. And yes, chosen one, you've earned this stillness not through perfection but through persistence. You remained faithful when it would have been easier to give up. You kept praying when nothing seemed to change. You stood when everyone else fell away. Heaven took note of that. You didn't just survive the storm, you passed the test. Now that same endurance that once carried you through pain will carry you through peace. But here's what's important to remember. Don't rush this rest. Don't sabotage your stillness by looking for the next fight. Peace may feel unfamiliar because you've spent so long in battle, but don't mistake quiet for emptiness. This silence is sacred. This calm is not the absence of movement. It's the presence of God. He's preparing a table for you in the presence of those who once doubted you. He's restoring the years that felt wasted. He's fulfilling promises that seemed forgotten. The blessings that once felt delayed are about to manifest in perfect timing. You don't have to chase them anymore, they're chasing you. And when it all begins to unfold, when favor starts flowing, when doors start opening, when joy begins to rise again, remember this: stay humble, stay grateful, and stay grounded in peace. Don't let success distract you from the source. Don't let blessings make you forget the blesser. The same peace that sustains you now will keep you steady in what's coming next. So, chosen one, walk in quiet confidence. You don't need to prove anything anymore. The evidence of God's hand on your life will speak louder than words ever could. Let your peace preach. Let your stillness be your victory. The miracle isn't coming, it's here. You're standing in the promise that was once only a prayer. Now you rest. Now you receive. And now you rise.